Okay, here's a quick one. So we've now managed to use brain material in a petri dish to play a video game, and there's already speculation and talks about what if instead of, because obviously data centers are very big things, energy they consume a lot of energy and all the rest of it. The brain is a very small thing in comparison, and doesn't consume half as much energy, and yet can do so much. And so now, inevitably, as I think most people already knew would happen, is they've come out and said, in the future we could use brain material to run AI algorithms. Great. So the thing with this is, okay, with all this technology is supposed to make life easier. By putting some brain material in a petri dish, essentially you've made it. It's not a human being. It's not. Is it a living thing? It's one of those moral discussions. Ethic discussions. I can't really get on. But essentially, when is this going to relieve the human race from work, if ever? So let's say they're going to come. Let's theorize. This is a random idea. They're going to come along, scrape some brain cells off the top of my head, put it in a big water tank thing, grow a brain or brain material that will be in an AI data center. If so, they do that, and then the humans no longer have to work anymore, because they essentially have a clone slave in a data center that's doing all these calculations. Okay, now that's going to come up. There's going to be a million discussions around that, and and is that right or wrong? Because is it alive or not? I'll tell you one thing: the brain itself doesn't. Supposedly, the brain material doesn't even know if it's alive or not. So, so I don't know. But anyway, so that does that. So the human race then says, well, I own a section of the server bank which does all this work. So I no longer am going to work. I'm gonna get this little the scrapings from my brain to do the labor, the calculations, and the work, which I'll be getting paid for. Let's just say that, right? And then, what then happens to civilization? If no one had to work, what would civilization look like? Is essentially the idea I'm thinking up here. I'm trying to come up with that. If nobody had to no longer work, let's say all the trades were now being done by AI robots, nobody's working, because this seems to be the premise, or at least a older premise of possibly what the whole idea was behind technology, is that it would make life easier. So eventually, if you follow that to the extreme, life becomes so easy that nobody does anything anymore. There's no need. And what would civilization look like? It's hard to tell, but realistically, if that's what we're striving for with technology, if that's how far we're willing to go, that we're going to scrape some brain material off the top of my head and create a brain in a petri dish to do some AI algorithms so that I can sit at home and make images on my computer, when do I get to stop working? Because I'm working my ass off. That's essentially it. When is technology going to do what I was promised and take the weight off my shoulders? That's the question that, I want answered right there. And if it does, and the whole human race, doesn't no longer works anymore, then how would that shape the civilization? I'm guessing the art would begin to possibly fail because there's no inputs, because all you're doing all day is you're just a consumer